Now, it's easy to get spoiled over division titles when they come all the time. But that's not the case if you're a Lions fan. Since moving to the NFC North, they've yet to win a division title, and they're looking for their first trip to the playoffs since 2016. Now, it certainly helps that Matt Stafford is back because he was killing it on offense last year. They were averaging 391 yards per game up until he got hurt with that season-ending injury. Now, he's got two really good playmaking wideouts in Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. He's hoping for a big breakout sophomore year from tight end TJ Hawkinson. They drafted DeAndre Swift with the second-round pick to help their running game, but he's banged up to start the season, so they signed Adrian Peterson as an insurance policy to go along with Kerryon Johnson. But whoever ends up running the football might have to find a lot of their own running lanes because the way Detroit blocks up front, the offensive line, young pieces who definitely need some time to gel. They brought in Big V from Philadelphia on a big contract, but I mean, you watch him play, he's not the most polished offensive tackle in the game, so little reason to be kind of a bit concerned that maybe he's overpaid. The defense, an influx of new talent comes in with Jamie Collins, Deron Harmon, and Danny Shelton from New England's #1 defense last year, and they're going to be leaning heavily on first-round pick Jeff Okudah on day one to just take over at corner for a team that traded Darius Slay. Hopefully those moves, though, can help Trey Flowers generate some more pressure off of the edge, which as of now, edge rushing, that's a weakness for this team as well. Detroit, I would say a live dog to win in an evenly matched division if all goes right. I just don't see it happening, and primarily because I think they start off slow with 3 losses in their first 4 games until they go back and forth between winning and losing games until that season finale. And if that's the case, Matt Patricia could find himself out of a job, and the way I see it, 7-9 is likelier than the division title for the Detroit Lions. Now over in Chicago, fans are tired of the wind. All they want is wins. Bears finished 8-8 during a season with much higher expectations than what they ended up getting. This was a great defense who finished in the top 10 in just about everything, headlined by their 4th best scoring defense. They dominated on defense even though their freakishly talented weapon Khalil Mack only put up 8.5 sacks, which is really modest for his standards. But then they go and add Robert Quinn, they bolster their solid defense, and if you have a healthy Akeem Hicks to go along with Roquan Smith, I don't think you should be concerned at all if you're a Bears fan. The question is just going to be on offense, and that pressure is a lot of what's going to be on the quarterback to play just good enough to kind of get things done. Trubisky's got the job for now, but he might be on a short leash if the Bears come out of the gate struggling to throw the football, because I'm sure Bears front office and coaches value their jobs enough to know that their jobs are on the line. Now, I do think Matt Nagy, that head coach, he puts Mitch Trubisky in the best possible position to succeed week in and week out. But the thing is, the gimmicks only take you so far, and you do have Nick Foles in your back pocket if you got to go to him. Now, the Bears, they're going to have to find ways to become more explosive on offense, because last year they were 30th in the number of carries that went for more than 20 yards. And it's one of the reasons the Bears are handcuffed to being a good but not great football team. Now, all 4 NFC North teams have their own unique flaws, so they can all beat up on each other a bit. And luckily for the Bears, their first 6 games are against teams with losing records in 2019. And I do see them going 4-2 to start off, which is good, including an impressive win over Tampa Bay, but then the losses kind of start to pile up. Lose to the Rams and Saints, drop 2 games to both the Vikings and Packers, and this team ends up right where they were last year, at 8-8 and on the couch during the playoffs, figuring out what they're going to do at quarterback moving forward. Now, the NFC North team most familiar with playoff runs and with the most stability at quarterback in the last 10 years has been the Green Bay Packers. And in 2019, they definitely overachieved, finishing just 1 win away from a Super Bowl trip. But this is a team in win-now mode that didn't make any significant upgrades to the spots they needed. Experts have been calling the 2020 wide receiver draft class the deepest of all time, so tell me, how is it that the Packers managed to leave that draft without taking a single one of them to help out an inexperienced group that relies way too heavily on Devontae Adams? And to make things worse, at receiver, Devin Funchess opted out for the season, so you're really looking at a barren group for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And oh, by the way, you let go of Jimmy Graham, who was, getting older, but still a red zone threat who helped out in the middle of the field. And then what did the Packers do instead? They took Utah State quarterback Jordan Love with their first-round pick, and he's going into the season as a third-string quarterback. We did know that he was raw, but it still looks like Aaron is on his way to getting the full treatment that he got Brett Favre with over when he was a rookie. So Rodgers, is he looking over his shoulder with Jordan Love being the new guy? I think probably. We don't know about the future. Now, Rodgers was able to get more help from Aaron Jones in the Green Bay running game, but Brian Bulaga's departure creates an area of concern at right tackle because Wagner, that's a significant downgrade. Defensively, their run defense also didn't improve in the offseason, so they said goodbye to Blake Martinez, and that doesn't help either. I would say the defense does have some good duos with Zendarius and Preston Smith rushing the passer, and then with Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage at safety. But overall, not really pleased with Green Bay's lack of moves they made. They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But don't worry, because even though Green Bay is doing the same thing over again, there will definitely be different results this time. Only it's going to end up with the Packers being 8-8 and uncharacteristically out of the playoffs even with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, which is not good for a Packers fan. Now, even though the Packers are the reigning NFC North champions, you can bet your last dollar that the Minnesota Vikings will be right there with them all year long. Now, Kirk Cousins surprised many with his productivity last year. The question just now becomes, can he follow it up with Stephon Diggs now in Buffalo? And it's going to be tough, but at least Captain Kirk can rely on his solid connection with Adam Thielen to carry that group for a while as rookie first-round pick Justin Jefferson out of LSU adjusts to his new role as a number 2 wideout. Now, Gary Kubiak takes over as the offensive coordinator for a team that runs the football extremely well with Dalvin Cook, but they do have some positions on the offensive line that are some question marks, in particular at offensive guard. Now, defensively, the Vikings have always been strong under Mike Zimmer, but there's a lot of changes going on in that secondary. Gone are veteran corners like Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, and Xavier Rhodes. And the Vikings are turning to a pair of rookies in Jeff Gladney and Cameron Dantzler to start on day one in a completely reshaped secondary, which is going to be tough, and without preseason live reps, this is going to be hard for those guys to come along quite fast. So those young guys will fortunately be able to still lean on help from veteran safeties. Even as he gets older, Harrison Smith is still holding it down with the black half sleeves in the back end. He's making plays all over the field even at his age. So good there for the corners. They'll be able to rely on him. And then trading for Yannick Ngakoue shows the Vikings are absolutely serious about rushing the passer. And you could argue that Ngakoue and Danielle Hunter, they might be the best rushing duo in the game. But they'll be without Hunter for at least 3 weeks now that he's on IR. And when you consider the fact that Green Bay didn't do much to get better, I think the Vikings have the best chance of representing this division in the playoffs. 4 of their first 5 games are against playoff teams, though, so that's why I see them going 2-3 to start. But then from there, look out, because at that point, I think Justin Jefferson will have adjusted to NFL game speed as he becomes a viable number 2 option, even as a rookie wideout. I see 8 wins in their next 9 games, stumbling just once at home to Dallas in Week 11, and then with 2 road games to end the year, a Friday night loss on Christmas Day to the Saints, followed by a loss to the Lions to finish 10-6, but again, in that number 1 spot in the NFC North.